No, oh no, I don't care. All right. So, Freedom Phil here, live from the wasteland, and just setting up the parameters there. Turn to subscribers only. What's the topic? How is it I can get superior results to the average person? And I've had people say over the years, you think you're better than everybody else, but you're not. I'm like, why do you care that I'm superior to you? Why would you even waste your time thinking about such a thing? That even pissed off my buddy even more. But really, for real, I get better results because of my choices. That's really it. I've lived weird most of my life, and I'm going to be honest about it. Living weird has allowed me to see things through a different set of eyes to most people. Freedom Phil, like and subscribe. Let's get into it. And hey, turn up the video speed. And why do I always say that? Because like the name states, turn up the video speed. If I upload this, you should watch it at 1.75. I get better results because I can make better choices. I don't look at life as a bunch of accidents that you just fall into. I look at life as a bunch of choices that you make. Like, I don't think kids are an oopsie thing. There's no oopsie about it. You know, it's like when you buy a car. You're choosing what car you buy for the most part. You know, what's available and what you can afford. But for the most part, you're choosing what you're buying. How much of your life is really like that? A choice that you make. You know, what is that old Rush song? If you make a choice, then you have made a choice. But if you don't make a choice, then you still have made a choice. You know? When I lived in the woods for the 4 years of my early 20s, one of the things I loved about that was that if I had a problem, I could just build a solution. And that's one of the fundamentals of my existence. Like this whole thing where we all got to do and say and be the same thing as carbon copies of our neighbors and all that shit and our parents and all that crap. Why? You know, why do we all got to live the same way? And the answer is we don't. See, there's the rules of society, which is the normie common born thing. And then there's the rules of reality, which actually reality, there's like, you look at it like, okay, what do I need to live? What do I need to eat? What do I need to, whatever, cook? You start looking for solutions to things and you just start building solutions. And eventually you have a way of living that's comfortable, whatever way you want to live. Like me, I like van life. I like being nomadic. I love driving truck. Shit, I love being a bum as well. I'm good at it. But I have this laid back existence and I have very few fucking problems. See, one of the things about society is that in order to fit in, you know, you got, you know, do all this peacocking, wear this clothes. And it's like, I think Aaron Clarey said this. He says high school never ends for a lot of people, like middle school, high school nonsense. And he's right about that. That most of what we're doing is to be popular. And in that pursuit of popularity, so you're acceptable, for guys, acceptable so you can get the box, get the pussy, and women so you can outperform and, you know, piss away more of some man's money. You know, like, I don't know. The female objective in that is like, you know, comfort, luxury, all that shit, whatever. Whatever other women tell you that you want that plus more of it. I just don't care about any of that shit. I just don't. And the reason is when I was younger, I've always been kind of an outcast, kind of a Shrek-like individual. And to be real about it, I never really saw the benefit from being part of the group, the club. I had to be 2 or 3 times as right than most people. And then I'd see idiots that were popular. And good on them. You know, hey, I'm not going to, you know, I respect the hustle. I respect the scam. But like, I'd see idiots that basically were considered to be right because people wanted them to be right. And then if it's me, they're like, well, now fuck you because we just don't like you. You're wrong not because you're wrong because we just don't like you. And one day when I looked at the world, I said, well, if this is the game that I've been fucking, you know, dished into, so, you know, the stats that were pre-rolled for me to some degree, and you can change some things, then why should I play this game? If the casino is rigged, why would I play at the casino? And then the realization that you don't have to, you know, and a handful of people that do like van life like I do or whatever alternative lifestyles, we've realized that. A lot of us have realized that. You know, like, and some of the mistakes I've made over the years are times that I did normal things. Like my house up north, it's a nice place. We did a great job remodeling it, but if I could do it all over again, I would have never remodeled it. I would have wasted that $80K and a lot of time. You know, if I could go all the way back in time and never have bought the place, I never would have bought it. I mean, I think of just even as much as I loved living in the woods in my early 20s, because it was a magical experience. And it gave me a perspective of if I have a problem, I can just build a solution. You can just find parts and things, and we've never been in a better era for that. Whether, you know, like if you want to cook, okay, so camshaft and a propane tank, ooh, hard. Or you make a rocket stove. Fuck, if I'd known about rocket stoves back then, oh, sweet Jesus. You know? And so, what am I getting at with this? Life is fucking tits if you just keep it that way. That's what I found. And because I don't have to worry about the opinions of other people, I can basically do whatever I want. But it turns out, you know, it's like people say, well, what would you want if you could have anything you wanted? I remember a lady asked me that one day. I was at a commune visiting a friend. I had my place out in the woods, and he lived with a bunch of hippies at this kind of hippie commune thing, neo-hippie commune. And I said, I'd like take a nap in a field. They're like, you could have anything you want. I'm like, yeah, nap in a field. And they couldn't, they're like, you could have anything. And I'm like, nap in a field. They couldn't they're like, why? I'm like, because I can achieve that right now. Why desire a bunch of things? Like, set up these standards so high. I mean, like, okay, we could all say $1 million and then invest it and live off the dividends. Okay, that'd be great. But I've actually changed that. Nap in a field involves a tree for shade. I can achieve that every fucking day. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that nice? You know, the idea. Instead of desiring a bunch of shit that you don't have, just being happy with what you do have. And so people will be all like, well, I mean, you don't have this or that. I'm like, I actually built solutions. Like, for instance, I have power. I produce my own power. I got 2 solar systems on this van. I got one for the solar generator over there, a couple 100-watt panels, and then I got a 100-watt panel on a deep cycle on a simple system for the TV. I got 65 channels out here. I've got a Nintendo Switch. Got a couple DSs. I got a radio. I got the internet. I basically live pretty much quite similar to what I would be doing if I was living in a house. In fact, I pick up more TV channels down here than I do up north. It's actually one of my categories for buying property. Can I pick up decent stations here? You know, and if I can't, why the hell would I be there? But yeah, you know, I like my life. And it's very laid back. And because I don't have a huge debt load strangling me, drowning me, well, this is where we get into where, you know, and let me tell you a quick story on this. A buddy of mine's dad, we were all hanging out there at the campground. And I'm like, so what do you do after you pay off the house? They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, I just paid it off. My buddy was like, quit gloating. I'm like, I'm not gloating. I'm like, this was supposed to be the big thing. And it was. It was like everything focused to paying off that house because I never wanted to owe money to anybody again. You know? What do you do after that? I could tell a few of the guys were kind of pissed. You know, I'm some young buck. They're like mid-50s, you know, early to mid-50s. And here's this guy who's like 20 years younger than them, already got it fucking figured out, you know. And looking back, if I could have turned back time, I would have skipped buying the house and just invested. Just lived in the truck, lived in the van, invested. And then if I wanted a house after that, then I'd get a house. So, you know, so even things I would improve about if I could go back in time, a few things I would change. I mean, even though I loved living in the woods in that early years and it gave me a lot of perspective, God, like I say, retirement by 30 all the time. 7 to 10 years. Could have easily had it all figured out. But yeah, it turned out down the road when that dude's dad got divorced, he had $80K. And that was his retirement fund. And I want to put this in perspective. I can make, if I'm driving truck at a decent company, I could be making $100K a year, right around $100K a year. Take out, live in a state with no state income tax. So take out probably 10, 7, 8, 10,000 for the man. And then tax deductions, investment portfolio, blah, 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 blah. So I could be taking out of $100K, probably at least living off 3,000 to 5,000 a year, investing $80K. So in 1 year, I make a few decades of, like 2 or 3 decades of his life achievement. You just got to think about it. Now, I don't say this to gloat or brag. It's just a matter of choices and decisions that I've made. Different decisions than most people. And the things that did screw up my life, to be honest, were the things I did that were normal. The house. Sometimes, like, I'm not anti-work, mind you. I just, if I look back at it, there's just kind of a twisted irony when it comes to working that I realize I get treated better as a homeless bum than I do as a hardworking man. And that should give people some perspective, by the way. Like, you expect these guys to go out and slave away for X amount of decades, and then you treat people like shit on a daily basis. It's kind of like soldiers. You want people to sign up to be soldiers. Well, young men look at the way you treat the guys in the VA. They look at the homeless guys on the streets and say, well, that could be me. The fact that if I choose to, I can accomplish in a couple years what most people will take decades to do. I don't know. I don't really believe deep down inside, I don't think I'm any better than anybody else. But I use the thinking meat up above. I'm not being manipulated or controlled by social expectations. I just do as I do. And so when I actually apply myself, I get way fucking better results. And by the way, this is part of the reason I can't get behind socialism. I can't. Because socialists will be like, oh, the housing, the this, the that, the that. And I'm like, well, how many years have you guys trying to fix it with some socialist solution? How many years has this not worked? How many decades are we going to keep on trying to, same ass, lame ass excuses? It's like, if I can save up, if I can be retired in America in 7 to 10 years, aka retirement by 30, why the hell should I take your socialist ideals seriously? You can't even do that. Your solution is we'll work until we're in the fucking grave and hopefully daddy government will take care of us. And then you got the good old, conservative boomer perspective. Oh, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You just keep on going to work and you buy a nicer car and, you get a nicer place. Like, fuck all that shit. Because I'm not held back by these expectations. That's really what it is. Because I'm not held back by society's expectations. Or family, friends, all that shit. I got a couple family members that are okay. Everybody else is just, if I saw them at a gathering, okay, how you doing? Because I'm not held back by other people or society or even my physical desires. When I apply myself, I can achieve things you could only dream of. And when I choose not to work, I can live off so little that what I have made, I can work 1 year and last 15 to 20 years off that. If I invest that money, 1 year's of work basically pays me enough to live in perpetuity. Now, I don't know if I'm better than you or, better than everybody else, but I think I make better choices. And that's really what it is. I don't look at the life like everything's some fucking accident. If anything, I look at it like everything is some sort of choice. There are a handful of things that just kind of happen. But like most of the people that complain about, oh, can't afford food for my kids. Having kids isn't an accident, it's a choice. Just like when you go out and buy a car, or a choice of color or color of the car, there are choices you make. And there's more than enough information out there every day that you can see that shows you if you make bad choices, the outcome results. This isn't complicated. But I'd have to ask at some point, if me and all my averageness, because that's really how I view it, can get vastly superior results, and all the other people, there would be my so-called superiors, get lesser results, and we're both making choices, who's smarter? Who's got their act together better? The system is right there. The way to win is not to play the game. Really, it is. You work, you make money, you don't piss it away on stupid shit, you invest when you're young, and if you want to get a house, live as cheap as possible, by the way, go out and get yourself a van, a tent, I don't care how you do it. And then when you want to go out and buy your own place, whether it's an nice little old house in the Midwest or a couple pieces of land and have an RV, 7 or 10 years. It's all it takes. Now, I don't know. Maybe my obscure, weird life has given me some perspective that most people never achieve. And most people couldn't even comprehend it because they're just too locked into the way things are. I don't know. But, I don't know. This is my thoughts. Freedom Phil, like, subscribe, take it easy.